engaging content across documentary, commercial and narrative projects. His work spans corporate productions, live events and independent film, with a particular interest in how environment and light shapes stories. On his movie, which is called Who Killed Mr. Moss, Ben brought this approach to life while filming at Barwon Park Mansion, navigating the creative challenges of shooting within a heritage location and, I guess, working with children. Be very interesting. Ben is known for his practical, solutions-driven approach on set and his commitment to elevating story through intentional cinematography. I've had a look at this trailer. It's fabulous. The kids are amazing in this. Let's have a look, shall we, at Who Killed Mr. Moss.
Where were you at the time of the murder? Donahue's detective agency.
His name is Mr. Moss, but I have a sneaking suspicion that his first name isn't Mr.
Benson! There are bubbles in my soda! Benson! There's a fly in my soup!
This is a murder mystery, and this is a butler. 4 suspicious stories from 4 suspicious parties, each with the means, the opportunity, and the motive.
Motive?
Exactly.
Where are you going?
Why, it's after 5, Mr. Moss. I'm going home.
The house isn't clean yet. Clean it up! Well, don't just stand there.
You could have used the samurai sword on the bookcase, or even the old chainsaw from the garden shed. Or with a concealed firearm in your vest. Aha! Me? Yes, you. The sweet 16-year-old. What were you doing before your daddy died like a dodo?
It all costs money, you know.
One moment, you were by the buffet. The next, in North Korea.
Frankenstein's monster. What's he wearing? A dismembered circus bear? He'd look better in a body bag.
She's got it all horribly wrong.
Detective.
Where's the body?
What in the devil do I pay you for? And you can forget about overtime, young lady. Oh, your mother's funeral. Was that today?
Little Miss Stephanie, you are under arrest.
Hold your guinea pigs there, Constable. A thesis on communism.
A thesis? On communism?
You should go on a diet.
Why would anyone ever want to do that?
This is all absurdly unlikely.
By golly, this case has got me chasing my curly pigtail.
Did you think I wouldn't notice your cold, dead killer eyes? It was the butler!
Benson, how could you? What tosh? I remember nothing of the sort.
The deed's been done, but I don't know who done it.
Before we begin, I'd like to extend my deepest sympathies to those in mourning. Next, I'd like to ask you all some questions. Starting with you, little miss.
Well, a round of applause. Amazing. I'd like to ask Ben Wimpy to please come up and tell us a little bit more about the making of this film, Who Killed Mr. Moss. I'll hand over to Ben now.
Thank you so much. That was great. Thank you. Thanks everyone for coming today. And they say never work with kids or animals, but in that particular case, we had a guinea pig and a whole bunch of kids. Thanks very much for National Trust for having me today. And we don't often, one of the things that independent filmmakers struggle to do is find audiences to share their work with. So thank you for coming along and letting us share our work with you. So this was a film, as it implied. It's a whodunit murder mystery, Agatha-style kind of murder mystery. And we wanted to make something that was just kids playing adults. So there's no adults in the film at all. And it was targeted to an audience of kids who are constantly, at that age level, are told that we have to dumb things down for them because they're kids, they won't get it. This particular film, which goes for about 30 minutes in full, is basically, it doesn't dumb things down. It basically lets them, if they need to watch it multiple times, it doesn't simplify any wording, it doesn't simplify any concepts, it basically treats them with respect. And so we wanted to make something like that for them. And biggest problem was that when I was a producer on it, when the writer came to us, there's another thing in Australia that if you ever try to go to the government and ask for money, they never want to know if you're doing something in a period time, because they're like, it's way too expensive, can't do this in period with costumes and all that sort of stuff. So we kind of didn't have a good track. We want to work with kids, and we were going to shoot it in the sort of the 1910, 1920s era. So that's where the story's set. So when Jeremy said, I want to make a period film, the biggest challenge we had was finding a suitable location. So in terms of this location, we obviously picked Barwon Mansion, which who's been to Barwon Mansion? Beautiful, awesome. And if you haven't, go have a day trip there. It's fantastic. So the location began in Melbourne because I am from Melbourne, and so there's two other National Trust buildings that are based in Melbourne. One of them was Rip and Lee, and so we went and first and spoke to Rip and Lee and said, hey, any chance we could shoot our film here? And they were lovely, but it was going to be very expensive because Rip and Lee is very, very busy. And they were very restrictive in terms of what we could film and where. So at that point, we were like, oh, what else have we got? So the other location that we tried was the Labassa Mansion. Has anyone seen the Labassa Mansion? Perfect, beautiful. But it's sort of the problem with Labassa is got that beautiful staircase as soon as you walk in. But one of the challenges is that it's sort of shoved in the suburbs. And so we wanted to kind of show that this person, Mr. Moss, lived in a very wealthy mansion in the big property and all that sort of stuff. So we were sort of thinking, what on earth are we going to do? Then we heard about this place called Barwon Mansion. So Jeremy and I jumped in a car, we drove all the way down here, and as soon as we drove down that driveway, Jeremy's like, Ben, we have to film here. And it was absolutely stunning. So one of the other attempts that we were going to do that sometimes when we're filming things, we cheat. So we just use the exterior, but then the interior is my lounge room just dressed up. Oh, let's put some wallpaper on the wall and that sort of stuff. But Jeremy fell in love with the place immediately. So in the end, I should say my role was the director, but I'm talking to you more about sort of cinematography today. So one of the challenges, the next challenge we had was, okay, we had to be there for multiple days and we needed the whole space. So we began a conversation with Barwon Mansion and they were absolutely accommodating with all our requests. They had to do a few little scheduling things for us. We said, look, we need to be here for probably more than 5 days. We ended up in shooting in 2 blocks, but being able to shoot there meant we had the whole space. And 90% of the art direction was already done by the location. So we were able to use some of the existing furniture. There were not that many exclusions. We also then sort of asked nicely, is there any chance we can use a haze machine or a smoke machine just to try to give it that kind of period look? And the cinematographer loves that. If any cinematographer, they always want to put more smoke into the shot because it makes the lights look better and all that sort of stuff. So they were very accommodating with that as well. And because of the size of the space, we were able to put the crew out the back and we were able to, with kids, we had to be safe. So we had to give them various different areas to them where I had to have multiple, like you couldn't use the adult toilets. So we had to have children's toilets and adult toilets. They had to have caretakers, they had to have a whole sort of series of things, wardrobe, makeup, all that kind of stuff. But the space allowed us to do that. And so it was really easy to work with. And so as a filmmaker, that was one of the abilities we were able to move forward. We were thinking, oh, there's no way we'd be able to make a period piece because there's no one to let us use their location, and we needed a location like this. So from the trailer, you've identified Mr. Moss is very wealthy, and we use a lot of the space to show that wealth, like big long dining tables, his library, his kind of his study, the big staircases, everything we could do. My approach to cinematography is I like to keep a moving camera. So one of the things to elevate a production is to have the camera constantly moving. And so to do that, I didn't just want it to shoot it all sort of handheld. I wanted to try and keep it pretty stable camera. So one of the things that I was able to use, if I go forward here, Ben, we have to shoot here, was Jeremy's words. And look at that. I mean, why wouldn't you want to shoot there? And our drone shot that sort of establishes the location. We had the period cars in front. It was absolutely spectacular. So one of the other challenges that we had is I wanted to bring the moving camera in. So we used what was called a 17-foot Scorpio crane. So giant thing with a giant arm, and we're able to kind of, with their permission, get it through the doorways and into the various different rooms to allow us to create that kind of elevated cinematography, which we hoped would, when we sort of, as they say in our industry, take it to market, it would demonstrate that we weren't just some sort of low-budget film. Even though we were a low-budget film, we're doing everything we can in Australia to fake it, to sort of show, yes, we don't have much money, but look at what we can do. And so that was the approach that I wanted to take. So in terms of the cinematography, so we were able to kind of get these, I'll stand back here a little, so there's, we're able to do dollies, we're able to do a whole series of things, and one of the shots we wanted to achieve was what we call a one-er. So we started off on this beautiful picture frame, we came through the living room area and followed the maid as she's vacuuming out into the hallway, and then through all these different spaces, and then she's the one that discovers Mr. Moss's body dead on the floor. And so this one long take that we did was possible because of what the building allowed us to do. And so in terms of the challenge that we like in terms of filmmaking is, again, we want venues to actually want us and like us. So many times you turn up to a venue and they're like, nope, too hard, can't do it, can't touch that, don't do that, can't touch that door because that door handle is heritage, can't look in that mirror because that mirror is special, all of those things. So one thing that we loved about working at Barwon Mansion was how flexible and how much more they said yes rather than no. Because if we're going to be able to tell these stories and be able to elevate our productions, we need places and venues like this that actually let the filmmakers in. So I thank the Heritage, National Heritage, for actually saying yes to us and allowing us to do this beautiful film. Now the challenge is, how do we get the film out into the world? So as all independent filmmakers, that's always the challenge. So thank you. Please support us independent filmmakers, because all we really want is an audience to show our films to, and hopefully the next paycheck just to keep us doing what we do. But the house did half the work. So without this mansion, we wouldn't have a film. There's no way we would be able to do this in my backyard, or we don't have the American budgets to build huge sets on lots and all that sort of stuff. So that's Who Killed Mr. Moss. If anyone wants to see the full film, please reach out and I will send you a link so you can watch and you can discover for yourself Who Killed Mr. Moss. Thank you.
My favourite line from the film, and I'm going to use it, is hold your guinea pigs. No more hold your horses, it's going to be hold your guinea pigs. Loved it. Our next filmmaker is Mia de Rausch. Now, Mia is a producer, director and storyteller with over 20 years' experience across film, video and digital marketing. Mia's work can be seen across TV, short and feature films. Alongside her production work, Mia has dabbled in podcasting and is now the business manager at Gruff Design and Marketing, while also being the co-founder of the Surf Coast Writers Festival, where she brings together writers, creatives and conversations that matter. She lives in Torquay, where she can be found enjoying local cafes and bookstores with her partner, stepkids and their dog Lorraine. So let's have a look. There's Mia, and we'll see the film. I've seen this film, very good, like it a lot.
He never hit me in anger.
Does that make it okay? We don't hurt the people we love, Claire.
Yeah, but he didn't mean it.
Damage is not necessarily measured by physical scars. This house will look after you.
screaming at the top of my lungs, having to be heard is not communicating.
You're not alone. There are lots of people out there that won't make you feel like this. Now you can rediscover who you are and what you want.
I'd like to welcome Mia DeRouch.
Hi everyone, thank you for having me. Thank you to the National Trust, Geelong Waterfront. Love you guys. I'm Mia DeRouch, as been noticed. Sorry, I tend to move a lot when I chat, especially about heritage and films. So I'll do my best to try and stay in the one spot. I'm a writer, producer, director, and my short film is Bowen Mansion. My absolute love of heritage films has gone for a very, very long time in my life. We grew up in a little Art Deco house, and when I moved to Torquay, all the heritage was gone. Not many heritage things in Torquay. So being able to have Winchelsea nearby and have Geelong nearby, in which I could get my fill of heritage and beautiful buildings, has been very, very amazing. And I might add as well, the first ever feature film, along with Salvation Army, was also the first ever Ned Kelly film that was also shot in Melbourne. And to add to the point, Screen Australia has just gotten a lot of funding from the government, and all of that is going to get US films over here instead of to local filmmakers. So we maybe haven't learnt from the past. Heritage films to me are stories within themselves. They're the people that have lived in them. They're the people who created them. They're the people that love them still. And those stories, I just feel, always live within those walls. Bowen Mansion is an incredible place. For my film, we were there for the Surf Coast Shire. We were filming for my old production company, and I had an amazing volunteer take me around while my crew was filming. Should have probably been with them, but it wasn't. I got a beautiful tour and heard the stories about this place, about the people that lived there and the amazing things and why it was built. Bowen Park Mansion isn't just about the bloody rabbits. This house was built for the Duke of Edinburgh. Can you imagine being the Austins and getting this letter saying the Duke's going to come and meet you guys? Oh, okay, we better build a house. And so they built Bowen Mansion. Unfortunately, Thomas Austin didn't get to live very long in that house. My film, I really felt it when I was first there in this house. I just felt this beautiful comfort and warmth and kindness within the house. And it really lent itself to this idea of a post-trauma recovery that Claire, my main character, is having, and her finding the strength to leave that unsafe environment. She doesn't know why she's been sort of drawn to this house, but it's circled her, covered her, and made her feel safe again. I had to talk about the house. Built in the 1870s, it's bluestone facade, and it's incredible in its stillness within the space. It has so much land around it in which you'll see, and then there's just this incredible bluestone that comes and arrives. When you're driving up that driveway, you just feel like you're in another time. It's just filled with so many layers of history and that legacy that's from it, and the ambition that was what it was built. Every room feels so considered, and everything really deliberate. That staircase, the drawing room, everything is just so beautiful, and yet it's been really softened over time, and you can just feel it within there. Elizabeth Austin actually had a lot to do with the story that was my short film, and her strength and everything that she did. Once Thomas Austin passed away, she had She had some time. She had her children, she had her house to run, but she was really philanthropic. She started the Austin Hospital, which was started in Geelong, and it was really about supporting her community. So we wanted to kind of lend that feeling into the film as well, because she did create a space that was a safe space for people suffering with tuberculosis, people that were just gone, no, well, you're going to die anyway, so off you go. She built a space for them to be in. From a director's point of view, like Ben summed it up amazingly, it is like everything done for you in this house. The lighting, the way it all works, the softness of it, the furniture that's been kept there beautifully by the National Trust. It's incredible. We moved nothing within the space. We left all the furniture as it is. There is no way I would have been brave enough to have a rig put in or a dolly in the house. Ben, my God, I would have had a minor heart attack. But a director does have to take everything into account like that. Ben had this incredible vision and he made it work. I looked at the place and I went, we're using static cameras and we're sticking with that because nothing is moving and nothing is being touched. Because to me, that was everything. How they had the place connected to that warmth that I wanted to get across. And the words and the colours and the matchings of that, even our colour grade, we were able to sort of use the beautiful colours of the house and deepen them as she gets better throughout the film. So you start off quite dark and you move in and you get those beautiful tones that are in that house. We really just found it just perfect for the narrative as it is. It's telling a story within itself, and to me, Bowen Mansion was one of my characters. It was the way it made you feel. It was the connection to the town. It's the history of it and its occupants that to me became one of the main characters of the film. It just, I know I've said it already, but it just really gave that warm hug that I wanted to sort of show at the start of the film. In turning of that, and to follow on from what Ben was talking about of being able to get into National Trust buildings like this, it's so much. It's amazing for a filmmaker to be able to get into a place that, to me, as I said, was a character of this film. There is no way I could have done this in any other structure. And my film is very much in the present tense. We didn't need to look for a 1920s, 30s house. But to me, this was everything. This was the years and years since 1870 that this house has been looking after people. The interaction to me, as well in a National Trust building, is that there's everything that we do as filmmakers can be reversible. So we have in no way wanting to have any effect and damage on the property. We are dead set about national heritage buildings and the love that we absolutely have for that. We want to return it to what it is, which is the history and the stories. And it is really great as a director to be able to work with everything that's already existing and going, these are my limitations, how am I going to get my story across from this way? And letting that architecture and the textures be part of the film. What was great was when we went out to film festivals, a lot of the feedback we got was, where was this filmed? I need to know where that mansion is. It was amazing. We're talking people in Canada putting videos together, sending them to me saying, I loved this short film, where was it? Essentially, it became an ad for Bowen Mansion. And I'm fine with that. My first feature film was Centre Place, and then everyone had to ask about that, and that is also a beautiful heritage area in Melbourne. Seems to be my thing. What we've always found is that historic places, it's the live and the feeling, the shifting from being observed and habited to like the emotional and the physical. So at Bowen Mansion, it didn't really come from adding more. Similar to Ben's film, there's nothing added. It literally is the space that created some of the story. The house is not where the story happens. It is the story. And to me, I think that's really important. That's important for filmmakers and it's important for audiences. And again, Bowen Mansion is just the most incredible place. And I'm very lucky to have been able to film there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mia de Rausch. It's funny because up until now, until today, I suppose, I'm a marriage celebrant and I've done weddings at beautiful Barwon Park Mansion, and that's kind of a space that I think of for married couples, and now I'll see it so differently next time I do a wedding. Our next filmmaker is Roy Malloy. Now, Roy is the most prolific true crime writer in Australian history, with 18 titles already published, 3 cinema pieces, 5 plays, and countless periodical and specialist publication pieces. As the best-selling author of the biography Squizzy, Malloy has worked hard to present a number of works on film, bringing to life some of the most fascinating characters of all time. So let's see if we can get In the Shadows of the Gallows rolling for you. Wow. Oh, that was harrowing. I've got goosebumps a little bit there. Roy Malloy, everybody.
It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Roy Malloy. That is actually my name. If it's right in between Evel Knievel and Ronald McDonald, but now you'll remember it. And you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok and Grindr, and I was born at a very young age, and I love writing. Primarily by trade, I'm an author. And what's the difference between a large pizza and an author? A large pizza can feed a family of 4, but I am an author, and I've written a whole bunch of stuff because I have unfettered, unmedicated ADHD. And nobody ever meets me says, "No, surely not you, Roy." They're like, "Spot on, brother." And in the books that I've written, I've published 18 titles, with my 19th coming out later this year. And this is my second cinema piece that you're watching right now. We are currently in the middle of filming the third, which is a satire along the lines of Yes Minister, Are You Being Served, and George and Mildred. So come a long way from heightened drama to comedy, and that will be coming out later this year. Now, the movie you just saw, Shadow of the Gallows, was more or less written for the actress you just saw. Her name is Hilary Boyce, and she is one of the most gifted young actors I've seen in a very long time. And I met her at a screening of a previous production. We made a short movie about Squizzy Taylor, and Hilary was at one of the screenings. She's naturally very attractive looking. When she came up and said, "Look, mate, I will do any..." She said, calls me mate. Not you, me. But she said, "Look, mate, I want to be in a movie if you see an opportunity." As a director, as a producer, I was talking to these people earlier, I will trade a fair bit of skill for somebody who's fun to work with. With Hilary, I didn't have to swap either. She was highly talented and a pleasure to work with. Now, in saying that, we were working on a much bigger movie, a movie that was a follow-on from the Squizzy Taylor movie. I will begin by saying that I made my first movie piece 2 years ago, and I approached Screen Victoria, Screen Australia. Those two both came back to my many applications for funding and said, one of them said, and I quote, "We don't believe you'll finish the product." Oh, sweetheart. I wouldn't have put this on if I wasn't any good at it. And we not only finished that, we sent that through cinemas around the country, and we made a small fortune, which we made the next piece out of. Now, having said that, when we were looking to make a much bigger production, we had a lot of challenges, but I did have access to this incredible talent, Hilary Boyce. Now, as a part of my usual regime of performance and literature and authoring, I travel a live true crime performance. It's kind of like a podcast where you listen to true crime stories live. And I do a lot of that at Adelaide Fringe. And I had opportunity there. The Adelaide Jail has said, look, if you want to use one of our big rooms to present something, you can. Opportunity knocked. Now, one of the stories they have over there, like Ned Kelly is to the old Melbourne Jail, they have a story about Elizabeth Woolcock. Now, she was the only woman hanged in South Australia. She was hanged in 1873. She was 23 years old. And in my opinion, as a true crime author, historian, and reasonably, I've dabbled in this for a while, she died innocent. Anybody researching that will come to that conclusion. So we made this movie, and off the back of making a split decision, I decided I wanted to write that story. I wanted to present it as a live play in Adelaide. So what you saw as the movie I wrote in 90 minutes, true, and then we made it into a live play, which we've begun rehearsing. Now, it was in those rehearsals that I said to Hilary, I reckon we could make a movie out of this. Here's the problem with making a movie though, right? A lot of people make movies on these, right? They make a movie, they stick it on their phone. Nobody ever sees it. This is a commercial level now. So if we want to make a commercial level, you need one thing, it's a key ingredient, it's a paying audience. Not just well-intended muggles who will sit and watch it on their phone, somebody that will leave their house ideally and pay to watch it. Sounds unfathomable now, almost offensive now, doesn't it? But we all used to do it once. And I was very blessed that about that time, somebody I've met a few times, the lady called Stacey who owns Pub Cinemas, she approached me and she said, well, look, I can put that in pubs in Australia, New Zealand, England, Scotland, Ireland. And they reach out to pubs, they say, we'll screen this in your pub, no screening fee. And normally you will actually have to pay a screening fee to whoever owns the movie if you're charging in a commercial context. Pub Cinemas gave me a small amount of money to make a movie, which you just saw the preview for, and then it's screened in those locations. Now, it's those kinds of side hustle indie producers that are making opportunities for screen productions like this, and I can't be more thankful to Pub Cinemas. So then they're behind the next production. They've given us some money to make a movie called Shut Your Trap, and it's also being filmed at the Geelong Jail Museum. Now, I work at a very fast pace with everything. I wrote a 38,000-word book in 8 days, first word to published, and this movie was made in 3 days. Now, try being Hilary at that point. We had that poor child up at the Geelong Jail up here from 5 a.m. until midday, 3 days in a row. And she punched it out. She never complained once. But the Geelong Jail Museum is the other part of this magic for me. That is a world-class tourist attraction up there. If you've been, I love the old Melbourne Jail. I go there regularly. I'm a big supporter of their work. But the effort that goes into not just a display, but a proper academic style museum is incredible in Geelong. The owners of that place have also funded some of these productions for me. They've gotten behind and given us a huge amount of their resources as well. We couldn't have done that without them, right? So it just then does come down to opportunity. It makes me sad as an Australian that in my live shows, I often do the hands up. Who's heard of Bonnie and Clyde? Oh, they all put their hands up. Yeah. What about Al Capone? What about Minnie Clark? Nah, she was Squizzy Taylor's enemy. She blew up half of Melbourne. She made over 100 pipe bombs in the 1930s. What about Bridget Marnie? Anybody? Bridget Marnie was the elderly prostitute who ran a gang of amputees called the Crutchy Push, who used their crutches as martial arts weapons between 1905 and 1910. Do you know why we don't know about these people? It's generally because the victor writes the story, and the victor is usually a white Anglo-Saxon heterosexual male journalist. So out there goes the queer community, the black fellas, the women, the children, the people with disabilities. But you know what? That's where the stories are. And there are so many in Australian history. One of my books is called The Queerest of Crimes, where your gender orientation or preference is the crime, and those are happening in my lifetime. All right. So make no bones of it, there are so many movies out there, but do you know what we need? Is you people on social media sharing these incredible people and their productions, following them like your celebrities. Remember Daryl Summers? Yeah, I remember that. We need that support now. So it's in your hands when you have opportunity with a resource like the National Trust, who absolutely needs to be applauded for the support they give the small movie industry. That's what will make the next round of incredible storytellers. So with this movie, some of the fallout has been that the actual legal case of Elizabeth Woolcock is now being put forward for a posthumous pardon. It'll be the second only in Australian history in a capital punishment case. And this movie was a part of those proceedings and part of that rallying point that will move towards, hopefully, a posthumous pardon for this young lady. If you've enjoyed this, I've been Roy Malloy. If you haven't enjoyed it, I have been Daryl Summers. Thank you so much for having me.
Well done, Roy. Oh, and you're right about the old Geelong jail. We went for a dinner, a fundraiser there last year, and we were invited to spend the night in one of the cells. I politely declined. I must say I wasn't quite brave enough. Our final filmmaker today is Tommy Krasich. Now, Tommy hails from Geelong, I believe. Bell Park. And Tommy is a Geelong, Melbourne-based actor and filmmaker with international credits, known for his passion for storytelling and hands-on approach to filmmaking. With experience both in front and behind the camera across short and feature-length projects, he brings a well-rounded and practical understanding of the creative process. With the ongoing development of his non-for-profit project Spider-Man, Season of Fate, a self-funded independent feature-length fan film, try saying that 5 times fast, Tommy intends to showcase his ability to execute ambitious ideas on a grassroots level, with portions of the project having been filmed at Barwon Park Mansion, where he utilised the historically rich location to enhance the story's tone and visual identity. Tommy's work is driven by a passion to tell engaging stories, married with a desire to continuously grow both as an artist and as a person. So here it is, Spider-Man, Seasons of Fate.
Nice work, Spider-Man. Mind if I take this? I really would like to see you.
Never want to fault in making a presence, brother.
I am Sergei Kravnov, Hunter. So you call me Craven.
I don't know what's going on with you.
I'm just going through some changes. It's complicated.
You never should have left. Peter.
I'm so sorry I did this to you. Where are they, Craven?
Craven has no interest fighting wounded gazelle. Only stone lie.
I'm going to make you regret ever putting on that mask.
If word got out, the people I love wouldn't be safe.
Love?
Yeah, love.
We interrupt this broadcast to inform you of a high-speed police chase in downtown Manhattan.
Fantastic. Tommy Krasich, would you like to come up to the podium? How did you do that? We want to hear all about it.
Thanks so much. How did I do that? Through a lot of hard work and just loving Spider-Man, I guess. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tommy Krasich, and I'm the creator of the non-for-profit fan film Spider-Man Seasons of Fate. Do we have a show of hands of any Spider-Man fans here today? Awesome, me too, so that's awesome. I'd like to begin firstly by thanking the National Trust and all those involved in organising today's event and for allowing me the opportunity to come before you today to speak on my film and its experiences. To tell you a little bit about myself, I grew up with a love for entertaining. To see people smile at a joke or be amazed by a trick, it was these simple moments in life that I came to love and experienced myself through watching movies from a young age. Though there came a moment where I saw past the entertainment and began to analyse and question things, such as how a movie based around an orphan raised by gorillas was able to make a 10-year-old cry out of joy, or how that same 10-year-old would leave the cinema with a whole new sense of moral beliefs after seeing a masked red and blue hero swing through the streets fighting for a friendlier neighbourhood. Movies are a culmination of facets that come together in harmony to create an experience, and today I'll be focusing on the areas of location and post-production. The beauty of location managing and scouting is that everywhere and everything is an opportunity. Seeing through the eyes of the lens and the mind of an artist isn't just on face value, but a deeper dissection of the world around you and how we purpose those facets to fabricate our narrative realities. For example, back in May of 2023, I'd attended an event hosted by the Geelong Waterfront Film Organisation and found myself quite swept up in the space, which for a matter of fact, was this very room. And immediately, the gears started to shift. I saw a vision, and I began to envision the space in the world of my film. And it was only a year later that this space became known to the world of my film as Oscorp Industries. Now, beyond that, I was fortunate enough to have aided Mia on set of the production of Daisy, which had been filmed at the Barwon Park Mansion. And as you could guess, well, I promised I was doing my job, Mia, I wasn't slacking off. But I was, again, swept up by the space and the gears started to shift. I'm sure I was telling everyone that day, I'm going to film Spider-Man here, I can see it. And I began to write for the location, the way the characters would move through the space and how the architecture around them would engulf their performance and direct their roles. And now, manifesting is a great thing because it was not too long after that I filmed at the Barwon Park Mansion. And provided with this opportunity, it became my goal to maximise the location through means of creativity, taking what was needed and finding clever solutions to achieve those goals. We ended up shooting 6 scenes that day, taking a single mansion to create 3 entirely separate locations: the Osborne Estate, Empire State University, and the Parker residence attic. For the Osborne Estate, a luxury mansion in upstate New York, it was the most obvious and intended use of the location, spanning from the dining area where the young Harry Osborne takes a phone call with Peter Parker, the staircase where he's confronted by his imposing father Norman Osborn, and the living space where, can't actually tell you that because it's a spoiler, so I'll hold off on that one. But the Osborne Estate works well in taking advantage of the rich furnishing and architecture of the mansion to create a sense of grandness and class. The study was the allocated space for Empire State University sequence, which in turn was quite simple, requiring only a single shot and some clever branding placement. Then finally, the attic, where we utilised the stables at the rear of the mansion. The scene in discussion is a quiet moment with Peter Parker, away from the world, surrounded by years of memories boxed away. Now, I'm not too sure how many attics everyone's been in of late, but from my experience, they're very crammed and non-practical spaces, making for a challenging filming location. Though, I did task myself with a specific vision for an old-school American-style attic, and the way I achieved this was through the collaborative efforts of location, and would you guess it, post-production. Now, post-production is a long process. You can take my word for it. I'm still in it, and I'm glad that we cut that trailer short because I'm pretty sure at the end of it, it says 2025. We are 2026, so yeah. Now, bringing together larger-than-life concepts or simply fine-tuning small details, post-production works well in achieving both of those facets. So, back to the aforementioned scenes, the way in which post-production phase is being utilised to integrate these beautiful locations into the world of the narrative is through the clever use of context and VFX. To elaborate, Context works well to blend scene locations together, exterior before interior, showing our subject exiting the scene in the way that they've entered the last. The way we then elevate on that is through means of compositing and layering, integrating our visual and sound effects, adding our distant muffled city ambience and our CGI skyscrapers in the windows. So as we can see, if we look back to that middle section over there, that is the Barwon Park Mansion study space, I believe. And we utilised the Trust building out in Melbourne, using the exterior, decorating it with our CGI ESU branding. The middle and the exterior, it works well in having a practical prop, the pamphlet there, to connect those two locations together. As we look down the bottom, that is our beautiful City Hall. And I'm a big advocate for the Geelong architecture. I do believe that it has a really grand and very cinematic appearance. And I feel like creating a New York City in Geelong wasn't all that difficult because we do have a lot of grand architecture like the city. And then, as you can see, our Harry Osborn down there, our Harry Osborn in the window. Now, I'm not sure if anyone's been to New York, but I haven't seen a skyscraper-sized tree anywhere. So we basically had to remove that tree and replace it with the skyline of New York City there. Now, with the task of the addict, foresight and planning of the edit was an integral part in combining two entirely separate locations, achieving our final result through clever cuts, some questionable DIY puppetry, and a janky lightbox disguised as a manhole, which in turn resulted in a seamless blend and a vision achieved. If I break this one down, you have the top right-hand corner over there. That was a four-man crew. So we have Hamish, our cinematographer, myself holding the ladder, my friend Eric around the corner with the string attached to an umbrella, and our subject Will playing Peter Parker. It was basically a four-man crew of timing and getting it right. So lowering the ladder as Peter Parker reaches the drawstring to the roof, descending the ladder. And then if we look to the bottom right-hand corner where I have the storyboards, that works well in the planning phase. And that's what I was saying in terms of planning for the shoot. We know that Peter Parker is going to be walking down the hallway to a fake ladder, where the ladder then comes in contact over the front of the camera, creating a wipe. And a wipe works really well in editing phase, in blending two locations together. You're able to then composite, cut the ladder in half, and blend it to the new location when we use the box with the same technique of using a wipe. And you blend from one house to the addict. I wish I could show you, but again, spoilers, so. Now, I'm really grateful to have discovered a love for creating from a young age. That passion pushed me to stay curious, learn across different areas of filmmaking, and develop a grounded, resourceful understanding of the whole process. As a result, I feel much more in tune with the production journey, which helps me stay adaptable and engaged throughout. It has been a pleasure to have shared my experience with you today. Thank you again to all involved and to the National Trust for allowing me the use of the Barwon Park Mansion to feature in my film. And with that, the opportunity to stand before you today. Thank you, everyone.
Gee, Tommy, you know, I practiced the correct Croatian pronunciation of your name, but I could have said Krasic all along. Krasic. I like it. Well, that concludes a wonderful afternoon of entertainment. I don't understand any of the processes that you used, Tommy, but that was impressive. I can't barely take a selfie, let alone do all those incredible things with a camera that you managed to pull off. And all of our filmmakers, I think I'll just mention their names one more time for a big round of applause at the end, please. For Ben Wimpy, Mia DeRausch, Roy Malloy and Tommy Krasic. Thank you. I hope we're all inspired and feeling really creative after seeing those fabulous films. I want to thank you all for coming, and I'd like to thank Linda, who's been working tirelessly with her team to pull this together for us today, and I think you'll agree it's been wonderful. We will have some refreshments, so I hope that you will join us for that. Thank you very much and good afternoon.
I would just like to say very briefly a very big thank you to Paula. She and someone who won't be named are flying out tomorrow on an international flight, even though she'd still agreed to do this, and we are very, very grateful. So instead of flowers, which would die, thank you very much. And also thank you so much to these really talented people. Spider-Man in Johnson Park, can you believe it? Thank you.
Thank you all.